Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of the Union Federation podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network and also on the BQN Network. Of course, we are the podcast that covers everything that is happening in Star Trek and the Orville. And right now, it's all about visiting the lower decks as we continue our look at season 4 of Lower Decks. Of course, like I said, this is the Union Federation podcast on the Fandom Podcast Network. And it is all about Lower Decks season 4. It's a beautiful thing. But you know what? I need a proper Lower Decks crew if I'm going to be discussing Lower Decks. And so that means I have to go find, sometimes maybe they're a little bit off the wall. They come up with some crazy schemes, might get trapped in the occasional turbo lift or a cave. That seems to happen on a regular basis around here. So first and foremost, let me welcome back to the Union Federation our top-notch ship's counselor and, all around perfect holographic captain, Miss Amy Nelson.
Well, hello, everyone. How are you?
We are doing well. You were not with us last week. We miss you always when you are not here. So we are glad to have you back for some Lower Decks fun. But you know what? I need somebody who's going to get wild. He's going to get crazy. He throws the security book out the window when it comes to the Lower Decks. He is, of course, a top security officer and probably knows where a few maniacal AIs might be located. It's the one and only Mr. Kevin Reitzel.
I might be wearing my Badgey t-shirt, but I shall be now known going forward as Lord Tyrannikilicus. I just turned.
I think I have a virus for that. I think I have a virus for that. I'm not 100% sure.
One of the best names in Star Trek ever, Lord Tyrannikilicus.
Yes, absolutely. So, Amy, as I said, you weren't with us last week, and we had a couple more episodes of Lower Decks. I just kind of want to get your quick opinion on what we saw last week or last time with those 2 Lower Deck episodes, and what you're thinking of Lower Decks so far as we're gone on into it for this season.
Okay, so quickly remind me which 2 episodes: the Betazoid and the breakout on the ship.
And then we also had in the last episode.
Well, I'll talk about that one while you're fine. Oh, what?
Yeah,
one?
To talk about the Betazoid one.
Okay, yeah. So the Betazoid one, totally fun because everyone knows I love Deanna Troi, and her mother, Luoxana, just came on board in 3 forms. It was so funny. The reminiscence of Luoxana, like, teasing Picard and Riker, totally came across with Miss Flirty One. I don't remember any names. So it was just sort of fun to see those 3 Betazoid women, and they're just sort of hanging out with Starfleet, going on this mission. Were they ambassadors or something? I wasn't quite sure what the mission was.
Just real quick, this was the one that we had trouble pronouncing correctly. It's the empathological fallacies.
Fallacies, yeah.
That's right. And Wendy Malick, she was like the leader. Yeah, Wendy Malick was the leader, and so that was interesting.
Yeah, and I thought it was really fun how they, took like the Betazoid, maybe a condition that's spreading that way, or it was the Vulcan, like we saw with Sarek, and so it was a fun clue type of mystery to figure out. It was okay.
If I'm going to be honest with you, though, Amy, when I watched that episode, and I could just see you feeding in with the Betazoids and their big tall drinks, just fill it up again.
That's just walking down the road here in Las Vegas. I'm just saying.
What did you think of Parth Ferengi's Heart Place? Because we had some DS9 alumni return: Chase Masterson as Lita and Max Greidenchik as Rom, and then Kids in the Hall famous alumni David Foley. He played Parth in there as well. So, what'd you think?
Yes, that one was fun. The Ferengi and Ferenginar, and the being the dumb one and the smart one, sort of bad cop, good cop type of thing. That was pretty good. And I liked Captain Freeman and Admiral whatever and their play. And they sort of, caught on, and finally Freeman saved the day. So I liked it. And of course, having Rom and seeing the progression of where for the Ferengis are in their non-following the rules, right? Because they're unionized.
Yeah. Kevin, I just want to make sure you're still not watching more of those commercials, are you?
The what?
The commercials, being like Boimler.
Oh, the commercials, yes.
Yes.
But two guys, before we get started talking about lower decks this week, we have a little bit of Star Trek news. Okay, guys, we had some huge breaking news between episodes. Star Trek Prodigy has officially been saved. This has been a sticking point button for a lot of Star Trek fans since Paramount Plus announced they were canceling Star Trek Prodigy. But Netflix, who has a relationship with the people who created Prodigy, they've done several shows on Netflix, has saved Star Trek Prodigy and will be bringing season 1 to Netflix before the end of 2023, with season 2 going to be out sometime in 2024. But guys, a lot of people are just very happy that Prodigy has been saved. In my opinion, I'll stick by this. One of the most original Star Trek shows and the most fun stories for something different for Trek I've seen in a very long time, Amy.
Yeah, I'm really glad. I remember, at STLV and talking to the Hagelman brothers and Aaron Waltke, and they said at the convention they're 99% sure it's going to get picked up. So at that point, I was okay. I was just waiting to see who was going to pick it up, and we have Netflix saving the day. So I'm really glad. I was hoping that like maybe at the New York Comic Con that they would have given us a specific date. That would have been nice because I am looking forward to seeing the next season of Prodigy.
Kevin, we all like Prodigy. I know some of us animation isn't quite the thing as live action, but Prodigy definitely brought something different to Star Trek. So I'm really glad we're going to be able to follow up from what we got in season 1.
Yeah, as time was going forward on the show, I was curious, getting more kind of interested in it because of the time frame that it takes place in, and the fact that we had Janeway so involved and getting a little peek into that Star Trek era and time after they have been rescued, and now there's this other mystery with Chakotay and all that. I found that fascinating. So it kept evolving quickly. The show didn't feel stagnant at all. And I was actually a little afraid of that. There might be a couple of the characters I felt that kind of fell a little stagnant, like the guy, what's his name, the engineer kid that always talks in the third person.
Jenkum.
Yeah, Jenkum Pak.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, I was enjoying it. And I'm kind of curious, do we know how Netflix is saving Prodigy here, but how much of it is it saving going forward? That's my question. Is obviously it's going to be releasing the rest of the season and the rest of the first season, but is it going past to season 2? Do we know, or is it just definitely going to season 2?
Right now it's definitely season 2, and I think it's kind of wait and see how it does for Netflix. I wouldn't be shocked to see it get a season 3, but at least we're getting what they've done, what they have created, and what they have finished. So I am very excited about that. Plus, Kevin, that just means you get more Murph.
It's true. Yes.
With that, guys, that's going to wrap up the news, but we are going to transport into our first away mission. So as always, spoilers ahead. Kevin, would you like to push the button?
Fine.
We are beautiful job as always with the spoiler alert. We are going to be diving straight into the next 2 episodes of Lower Decks, episode 7, A Few Badgeys More, and episode 8, Caves. So let's get things started with A Few Badgeys More. Yeah, that's the stuff of nightmares right there.
That is.
I'm just saying, but Miss Nelson, you are back. Would you care to give us the Admiral's Log episode synopsis?
Absolutely. So Badgey overrides a Drakmani ship before encountering Bynar ship remains from an earlier attack by the mysterious vessel. The Cerritos answers the Bynar distress call, and Badgey attacks them. Rutherford and Mariner beam aboard the ship, and Rutherford apologizes to Badgey. Badgey's cognitive dissonance over his love for Rutherford causes him to keep his vengeful code and shunt his good code into another version, Goodgie. Badgey then relays his code to every ship in the Federation, planning to destroy everything. But the process makes him omniscient, and he realizes the petulance of his anger, apologizing before ascending to a higher state of being. Rutherford incorporates Goodgie into a Federation guidance system. Meanwhile, Tendi and Boimler go down to Daystrom Institute to oversee Peanut Hamster's rehabilitation and gather Agamis's alleged intelligence on the mysterious vessel. Peanut Hamper and Agamis secretly plot their escape using the ruse, but Agamis realizes upon his escape that Peanut Hamper has abandoned him. He locates her on a service vessel where she reveals she really has reformed and only plotted with Agamis because she enjoyed their friendship. Agamis resolves to truly reform at the Institute so he can later join her. He gives Boimler intel showing that the attacked ships have not been destroyed. They were stolen.
Look, a bit of cliffhanger there. Okay, guys, first reactions. Kevin, you have a Badgey shirt on. I got to start with you.
That's right. It's one of the souvenirs I got while I was in England. So I had to drop by, one of the big comic
Forbidden
stores over there,
Planet?
Forbidden Planet. Yes. Yeah. Forbidden Planet, where my wife actually used to work in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I had to pick something up. It was only $10 or 10 pounds. So it was nice.
Yeah.
So first of all, can we give it up for Jack McBrayer, please? Who plays the voice of Badgey and Goodgie.
And Logic.
What's that?
Logic-y.
Logic-y, Goodgie, whatever. I love Jack. He's funny. Of course, he became famous playing Kenneth Purcell in 30 Rock TV series. And he's had some interesting movie moments too, where he was the voice of Felix in Wreck-It Ralph. He had a small but funny role in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and of course Talladega Nights as well. He's perfect as this voice of Badgey. I think he's great. I just want to give him a little props there. And I'm a fan of all evil AIs, especially the way Lower Decks has been dealing with them. And this might be my favorite episode. I like it because this animated series can kind of reach into plot lines that you will never see acted out live. And that's one of the things that I like about this show. They take chances on that. They take chances on language as well, which I find hilarious. And revisiting the evil AIs in this one, and we'll go into it a little bit more. I really enjoyed that. So,
Miss Nelson, your first impressions of the return of Badgey.
So it's been, I've said before with Peanut Hamper, definitely not a fan, nor that season 2 Peanut Hamper focused episode. We did not need that. And so that just like really turned me on, these bad, evil, people programs, whatever. And then we had the Agamis, and I didn't really care. I mean, it was cool. It was Jeffrey Combs. So this episode has now gone back. I'm okay with them now, even the Peanut Hamper one, because we get this conclusion. I don't have a sour taste in my mouth now. So that's a good thing. I will give that episode that.
Okay, I really enjoy this. I think I'm like you. Jack McBrayer does a phenomenal job as Badgey. One of the things I noticed, not only with this episode, but on the next episode too, the animation quality in these 2 episodes was phenomenal. I mean, when they did the close-ups of angry Badgey's face, the animation style was just great, and it just seemed like it was really clean and sharp compared to some episodes earlier on. I think they had so much fun with it. I love the whole thing with Rutherford and Badgey's father complex that he had. It all worked. I think it all played out well. Probably definitely one of my favorite episodes.
You think about it, he's a father and a mother in back-to-back episodes.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing because I just rewatched it and I'm like, Rutherford's he's a dad a lot.
Yeah, no. Well, Rutherford's a caretaker. That's what he does. when he's not trying to repair grapplers.
Hmm.
So, but let's go ahead and get into our first topic of this episode: a few Badgeys too many. Guys, in this episode, we see multiple versions of Badgey. Obviously, first and foremost, of course, classic evil Badgey, as he has taken over the bodies of his friendly scavengers here. Kevin, always beware the maniacal eyepiece.
This is true. Yes.
Future reference. And what we see in this episode is Badgey, some really, I think, great character development with Badgey in the aspect of the personality splits, the creation of Gudgley and Logicy, how things play out with Rutherford, and also what ultimately ends up happening to Badgey as he gains ultimate power. What did you think of everything that happened with Badgey? And I gotta ask all of you too, I'm curious, have we seen the last of Badgey? Kevin?
We probably won't, but I wouldn't. I'm not as much as funny as it was. I don't need this to keep coming a thing. I think that if they do too much of Badgey, it's going to kind of taint Badgey. I know people have had fun stuff with like costuming and other creative ways with Badgey, and I got my Badgey shirt and stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't want it to go too far. Some people may feel it's already gone too far, but I think we've kind of seen enough of Badgey. But I wouldn't be surprised if we got one more appearance.
What about you, Amy? How did you like how they dealt with Badgey in this episode?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask before I answer your question. Remember in season 1 when that guy ascended, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have now Badgey ascending. So yeah, I think we're done with the Badgey story because he went to the blue koala in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this because I'm always a fan of when you can isolate or compartmentalize one part of someone's character and really delve into that. Okay. And who is Badgey? Who is Gudgley? Who is Logicy? Like, it could continue to split off because we ourselves have those traits within us. Like, we can be extremely logical. We can be extremely nice. We can be extremely mean. So to delve into that through Badgey, I thought was really a good experiment. And hopefully we can see, yeah, even if you break off, like Badgey, you have to go deep enough where Badgey's like, why am I doing this? And once you get to that kernel, then it's all going to be okay. And you see Badgey ascend to a higher plane. Like, that's a good goal for all of us.
I think we're done with Badgey. I think we'll see Gudgley again because he's the AI of that shuttle. And even though Mariner, Boimler, and Tendi might never get on that shuttle at this point, but
right.
I agree. I really liked how they split up the personalities. I actually like Logicy too. I thought it was kind of sad how Badgey took him out and what he did to Logicy. But there is one thing, guys, because I really felt that this particular episode needed a stinger after the credits, because I would have killed if they could have somehow gotten John Delancey and just had a little stinger of Q and Badgey, like having a conversation or a moment, since Badgey said, I might go hang out in the Q continuum.
Yes.
that would have been interesting. Yeah, that would have been funny.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed that. But guys, on to topic 2, the great AI escape. We see the return of 2 other AIs in this episode, Agamus and, of course, Peanut Hamper, who, they're evil plotting AIs, Kevin.
And don't forget Lord Tyrannokilicus.
Yes, Lord Tyrannokilicus, yes. But we have these evil plotting AIs, one of which can make himself look like that blue safe computer now, Kevin.
Yeah, let me tell you right now, Star Trek, product makers and stuff like that. Let's make up some like big scale versions of these AI computers just so we can have them sitting on the desk, you know, and you push a couple of buttons and the voices say a few things. I mean, how cool would that be? Give me one of those, please. Yeah, this was actually probably one of my favorite subplots of this, and nice to see Jeffrey Combs back as well. Peanut Hamper as well. I was kind of going, you know, where are we going with this? And I kind of liked Boimler's like kind of whole reaction to this whole thing. He's like, yeah, I remember I defeated you before. Okay, whatever. You know. But this is a great way of poking fun at Star Trek with all the smart computers and stuff like that that our various crews have had to deal with when it comes to AI. But this whole thing that Lower Decks has done with AI and AI computers is one of my favorites. I love this.
Amy, you said we had a little redemption for you with Peanut Hamper in this. How did you feel about our blooming friendship? One was a little more serious about it than the other, but cyber love in full effect.
Well, I think it was a very good friendship, and sort of, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it because we're going to talk about caves, but I mean, Peanut Hamper and Agamus were in therapy together. They spent time together, and as we know from caves, what happens when you spend time together, you're going to develop a relationship. And so we have this really good friendship, and it just it sort of extends to not only the friendship that they have with each other, but like Agamus and Boimler, their friendship, you know, and Peanut Hamper and Tendi, their friendship, and Badgey and Rutherford, their friendship. So not only are we getting the character arcs, as you said, Kyle, about, you know, Peanut Hamper, Badgey, and Agamus, we're getting further the more character development between those relationships, and like our relationship with AI, which is very strenuous right now with what's going on.
Well, when you end up on the beach, but your hands are handcuffed in gold energy cuffs, it doesn't make it that much fun. Although Tendi still found a way. I wonder how much
Tendi made the best of it. Got to give her props.
Yeah, I wonder how much sand she took with her. And of course, too, I love the fact that when they go to the station and it's Peanut Hamper's family's there, and it's like, oh, this is my dad. His name's Kevin.
Another Kevin.
Another Kevin. Kevin, what did you say to Agamus? I mean, I'm just curious.
I just said, keep on trucking. You be you.
Okay, guys, and one final point to this episode: the continuing story of this mystery ship, as we do get a very large reveal that it's not destroying these ships; it's been stealing them. What is going on here? Is this has been the first time Lower Decks has really had this long of a dangling plot line going through a season? Are we intrigued, Kevin?
I know what it is. Come on, guys. We all should know what it is. Okay. It is Geordi LaForge stealing ships with new technology to add to his collection where all of his other ships are. That's what he's doing.
At the Starfleet Museum. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. I was happy to find out they're not destroying all these people in their ships, that they're stealing them. But I'm still very curious what the end game's going to be.
Think it's going to be another zoo?
Yeah, possibly something, or someone's making a power play so they have the technology from all of these races. I do have to ask you guys a question though. But when they were showing the scene with the Binars, I was kind of hoping that my subtitles would let us know what the frack they were saying. But then I remember in the TNG episode, you didn't know what they were saying. They just kept making all the little beepy noises. They kept doing all those surreptitious looks and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, that's not good. But like here, they're like going, what are you saying? You're a math teacher, Amy. What did they say?
Yeah. Well,
See what I did there?
Yeah. I was really excited, and the Binars, we know, and I was really surprised because they always came in pairs, but there were a couple scenes where there were 3 of them, and that caught my eyeballs. And I'm wondering why that is. I mean, I know they're on the ship and they're going to be in pairs, but I noticed
about that detail. Yeah. It's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All I know is if this leads to Moopsy saving the day, I'm a very happy person.
Don't ever talk about Moopsy ever again.
Oh no. This is a Moopsy loaded zone.
Better than Murph.
Okay, guys. Well, I have a little bit of Star Trek trivia for this episode as well. So I was able to find some fun trivia going on here, guys. I'm just gonna give you a few more that I found. Few of them I found here. The episode title is a play on the title of the classic spaghetti western For a Few Dollars More. Badgeys' recovery in the Kala system was from when he was left behind during the Battle of Kala in the season 1 finale, first hinted at in the season 3 finale. Badgey threatened the lives of the Cerritos crew by releasing Nerazine gas, but that gas was used to incapacitate humans better than according to DS9. It's Nerazine gas that is toxic, used by the Cardassians as riot control, also seen in DS9. When Badgey uploaded himself across subspace, we saw the effect on a number of familiar locations, including the USS Vancouver, Douglas Station, Deep Space Nine, and the Vulcan ship Cheval.
Hold on. I just like to throw this out there. There's been a lot of ships, especially on this show, that have been named after cities in California. Can we please get a USS Santa Barbara? I mean, is that asking too much? I'm just saying. Come on.
You guys already have a very long-running soap opera. What do you want?
Yes, but people of a certain age don't know this.
To bring up what Amy talked about earlier, Badgey's transcendence mirrored that of O'Connor from season 1, where we first saw the Great Koala. Peanut Hamper returned to the Tyrus 7A station from Star Trek: The Next Generation episode "The Quality of Life" that first introduced the exocomps. Mariner and Boylan were talking up how grapplers introduced in Star Trek Enterprise are cool, picks up on them saying the same during the Strange New Worlds crossover episode, Those Old Scientists. And finally, Tendi reveals that Orion beaches don't have sand, just sharp little pebbles.
Kind of like Brighton in the UK.
Yeah, But that is going to wrap up all of our talk of episode 7, but let's transport into our second away mission and talk some caves. Okay, guys, away mission number 2, we are going to be talking about Lower Decks season 4, episode 8, Caves. Amy, you love a good cave episode, don't you?
I do. I think this episode should have been called Shades of Caves.
I like that.
As long as it's not 50 Shades, we're good.
Yeah, okay.
Or Planet Hell. Planet Hell, if that's a deep cut, if you know what that means.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have Boimler, Mariner, Tendi, and Rutherford are trapped in a collapsed cave while on an away mission to study aggressively growing moss. With communications blocked, of course, they await rescue and recount tales of previous experiences trapped in caves. Boimler was trapped with a conspiracy theorist, Lieutenant Levy, on Chiron 4, but bonds with him when his theory that the cave is a test by the mysterious Vendorians proves correct. Rutherford recounts how he and Dr. Ta'ana were trapped on Balcus 9, and he gave birth to an alien baby whom he and Ta'ana raised together while searching for a cave exit. Mariner was trapped after leading an away mission with Delta Shift on Glish. Though initially oppositional with each other, their teamwork allows them to signal for rescue.
Delta Shift.
Afterward, worrying that their stories show their social groups may be changing, they begin arguing. The moss, revealing itself to be sentient, demands to hear Tendi's story. After partying, following Tendi's first day, all 4 of them were trapped in the turbolift, but it resulted in them becoming friends. Tendi assures them that they will always be friends, even if their social circles grow. The moss is touched, and they continue recounting stories to it. Secretly, the blocked communications are revealed to be Vendorian tests of their friendship.
So are we to take it then that all Caves episodes involve Vendorians, truthfully?
Truthfully.
So first reactions, Kevin, I'm going to go to you first because I know Amy has a ton of reactions and I want her to have a full floor. So what were your first reactions to this episode?
This is one of the plots that I like that this show takes in referencing. Okay, to clarify, what this show does is it hits on every freaking Star Trek cliche, throws it in your face, makes a little fun with it, but then adds an interesting twist of their own to the story. And that's what I like about this. And what it's so funny too, because like before Mariner says something of the obvious, we're kind of thinking it, when she says certain things, nothing ever happens good in cave missions, or I'm kind of paraphrasing, but we're like, yeah, that's true. But so this was fun episode. I did enjoy it for that reason. The thing with what's his name having a baby, I'm like, God, what is this Voyager when Tom Paris and turn into salamanders or whatever it was? I'm just like, I don't know, that's pushing a little bit there. So, but overall, I thought it was interesting. So
only Lower Decks can get away with it, Kevin.
Yeah.
Amy Nelson, you were raving about this episode from the minute we got on microphone, and I know you love some Star Trek Cave episodes.
Yeah, I do. I loved this episode. I like the format. I like the flow. The pacing was just perfect. We got enough of each person's story. We got all four and it got wrapped up. We have a beginning, middle, and end. We have a good moral of the story. It just was amazing. I really think this is my favorite episode of the season so far. I mean, I don't know 9 and 10, but out of the 8, this one is my favorite. It just is very Star Trek, very episodic. You can put this in anywhere in the seasons and it will still be great and funny. And I have a lot more to say, but I want to talk about each little story as we go through.
Okay, well, let's do that because I have one topic for this episode, and it's everyone has a cave story. We get to see a cave story from each member of the Lower Decks crew. It's kind of an anthology episode in a way. Here we see Boimler with, of course, his conspiracy theorists. And I'm sorry, I can't be friends with a man who will eat a huge ass cricket. I'm sorry, it's just not in my playbook because gross. But what did you guys think? What did you think of Boimler's story?
This was just cute and funny and hilarious, and because of all of the references of his conspiracy theories, right? Deep Space Nine was a tragedy, and I mean, it just hilarious. All the things that he was going, and what I like about Lower Decks is that the people writing this, they're just kids, because who hasn't in their younger years held a flashlight underneath your face and you see the shadows? And he was doing that to Levy, and it just made me laugh. And how patient Boimler is with Levy is great. It's totally Boimler. He has the patience. He's willing to listen. All right, you're crazy. Let's go figure this out. And then it turns out it got flipped that Levy saves the day because he's, sharing what they know instead of making up about the Vendorians.
Kevin, what about you? What were you feeling about Boimler's story?
It was interesting. I don't know why. It was just weird when they started. Was it Mariner and the other girl were like turning old, and then you have the other crew member with the broken leg, and they're saying, "Run towards us; it'll heal up," and then it doesn't. It just like falls off. I was getting kind of lost in between, kind of a couple of the different things, and trying to stay on top of what's what. But the thing that I did like I like the aliens, and I like that the main 4 characters are always together and there's always an adventure of it. But I I started thinking about my own cave experiences, guys. Have you guys been in caves before? Done any spelunking? Because I have a suggestion. If you go to Tennessee, they got a lot over there. And I remember Aaron and I went to Ruby Falls, Tennessee. and there's a bunch of other caves that you can go splunking in as well. But Ruby Falls is really cool because you go in this big cave and there's a waterfall that comes down it, and they illuminate it with different lights and everything, and it's very, very cool. So that I just wanted to share that because we're talking about caves, and I've done caves. So.
I don't know. My spelunking days might have ended after I watched the movie The Descent, but
yeah, I know, right? Those are the wrong caves to go down.
Yeah, exactly. But moving on to Rutherford's story, I'm confused, guys. Is he the baby daddy or the baby mama?
Well, and okay, what is this person? Clone?
Yeah, that is like it transfers its consciousness and then like regrows itself, I guess.
Right. So I've been listening to, other podcasts and stuff, and so similar to Enterprise when Trip gets pregnant.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of how it felt a little bit.
Because it was that's sort of how he, so that's going to an Enterprise. This one was my least favorite, but I did like the moral of the story that we see a lot in caves of miscommunication. Oh, I don't know who you are. You're big and scary. Oh, you're just protecting your young. Okay, we're going to live happily ever after and we'll protect you. Thanks for saving us. I mean, we've seen that, right? The Horta, right? Devil in the Dark. Is that one? That's what it reminded me of.
Okay.
It wasn't my favorite story, to be honest.
Yeah, the big funky rock.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin? Is he the baby daddy or the baby mama? I'm still confused.
I don't know. It was a weird one. I didn't really care for that one, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah.
Okay. But can we talk about the underrated genius of Rutherford to actually translate growling?
Yeah, Rutherford's kind of like I think they would all be dead if it wasn't for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But what's funny, Kyle, is while we were doing the Loki podcast, because the actor that plays Rutherford has a live action role in that, I'm just like, God, I hear Rutherford when he talks. It's so weird.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, the good part. Oh, just go back one more, Kyle. Yeah. The good thing about this story is that we do get to learn a little bit more about Dr. T'Ana outside of her weird fascination with holodecks and shacks. Like, we get to see her being a doctor and surviving, and I think it was good for her.
Every time I see Tiana come on the screen, though, I'm like, how many times is this woman going to cuss? Keep it up.
Yeah. Well, no. This brings up a good question, though, for you, Amy, because we haven't addressed it yet. As basically being an unofficial Betazoid, how do you feel about Tiana's certain feelings towards Betazoids and her actions about Betazeds?
Oh, they weren't good, right?
She likes to snack on them.
Oh, yeah. That was weird. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, we'll just keep you away from the good doctor. We like you in one piece. Okay, guys. Mariner story. Are we young? Are we old? This is one of the classic Star Trek tropes, and they put it in a cave.
Yeah. This one I thought was just kind of interesting. Because we've seen the characters get old rapidly in Star Trek before, and I liked a little twist on this. It was, and being a cartoon, I like how they can show like, bones sticking through skin and get away with it. I thought it was entertaining.
Okay, this one's my favorite story. Absolutely laughing my head off, partially because of this old age thing. Saggy boobs, streak in the hair, like Mariner turns into her mother. Even the face changes. Like, watching that character age was like looking at myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was hilarious. And then they're again trapped in this old age, their hips broke, and now they're finally talking. And this is where we get to resolve their issues between Delta and Beta Shift, which totally makes sense, made me laugh. And as college football fans, you will understand, I feel like Delta Shift is the Pac-12 conference in college football because all college football is watched on the East Coast. And then by the time we're playing, no one's there to watch us. Like poor Delta Shift, they've only seen Captain a couple of times and Ransom just a few times. Like they don't get the exposure. So they do have a complaint that they're not going to get promoted because they're not getting the exposure to those people. And with Beta Shift, always running. Yeah, I mean, Ransom's personally in charge of Mariner. Like that is an advantage that they need to recognize and understand that that's sort of why Delta Shift has that. So I loved this on so many, but it's that aging thing. Saggy boobs will get me every single time. Not gonna lie.
Amy, since you used the college football reference, does that mean next season Delta Shift will be disbanded?
Oh my gosh. It probably will be. And Jellicoe is going to come in and say, I want 5 shifts instead of 4.
Well played.
Exactly. And finally, we had Tendy's story, the one that the sentient moss insisted get told. This one was my favorite. I love that we get to see how they bonded together so quickly, and just the fun of it. And of course, Mariner being Mariner and actually getting them drunk. That's always fun. Thank you, Mariner Hijinks. Kevin, what about you?
Yeah, I like this one too. I like the idea of the glowy fungus thing, and then they got caught, and the whole thing inside the I guess what is this, the turbo lift I guess they're in, and then Shax comes in. So yeah.
And Amy, I just want to say, even in lower decks, we can't escape the P corner.
I know. Can you believe it? We have a P corner canon in Star Trek and Orville. Hilarious. I was so excited to hear that. I just thought of us recording and talking about the Orville. It warmed my soul. But what I found super awesome about this part of the story was that when they got trapped and they were like 1 hour later, they were playing a game. 2 hours later, they were like playing a different type of game. Like even 4 hours later, I thought for sure they're going to be, getting at each other, being annoyed, patience, tempers running hot. But even after 4 hours later, they were just all in this cuddle puddle that I heard from another podcast, just all enjoying and building that friendship that now we understand the great friendship that we've been seeing over the past 4 seasons. So I like that part.
I agree with you. I think that was a great point. I just got to say, I have a feeling they're still washing moss out of places that are unmentionable.
I think that's a good Lower Decks screenshot right there. That'd be a good wallpaper. That's just funny, and
it is.
It just kind of sums up Lower Decks when you look at that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that one does. And I also, of course, we have the Tandor. These guys are just all over the place. They're in every cave in Star Trek, guys. I'm convinced now. I'm a Levy guy. And these guys are everywhere messing with everything. I'm just not eating one of those crickets. I don't care what anybody says. But finally, I think this is, to me, sums up Lower Decks right here, because this is what this show is about, and this was what the show makes this show so fun and so great, is the relationship of these 4 characters and just what they've done with them and how much fun you have with these characters. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm almost to the point where the Lower Decks, this group of Lower Decks, is slowly coming up there, right up there with Next Gen, right up there with Strange New Worlds, because of how tight their bond is.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely. They're doing a really good job of each of them kind of pulling their own weight in certain episodes and then bonding. So yeah.
So I agree with a much improved 2 episodes of Lower Decks for this episode. Probably 2 of the best episodes of this season, and maybe one of them might even be one of the best episodes of Lower Decks. So, but guys, I have some trivia for this episode as well. You got some.
Can I read the first one?
Yeah, you absolutely can read the first one.
Okay. So the cave planets seen in the episode are now I said I wanted to read it and I can't even pronounce it. Grotinus sounds funnier. Gratinus, Chiron 4, Baucus 9, and Glish. Now, this I did notice. In lower decks, they're not using Roman numerals. And you have in the notes Chiron 4. I specifically looked at it again when I rewatched it. It was the Roman, no, it was not the Roman numeral. It was the Hindu Arabic numeral 4. So I find that interesting, and it sort of makes me laugh because any other planet previously has used a Roman numeral.
I wish they would stop using Roman numerals for Super Bowls.
Yes, I agree.
They're up there. They're up there in a place where, like, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Get rid of Roman
these
numerals.
letters.
Sorry, I'm done with Roman numerals.
I know. Besides X, V, and 1, who knows what?
Yeah, didn't we conquer the Romans? Come on.
Come on now. A little bit more trivia. Paragum, the substance needed by Mariner's away team to restart the shuttle's engines, was the substance that the Federation was mining that led them into conflict with the Horda in The Devil in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
The Vendorians of the animated series fame get a starring turn here in Caves, but also previously appeared in Lower Decks episode Envoys. The single-seat vehicle found by Boimler and Levy looks similar to the Argo-type vehicle from Star Trek Nemesis, also seen in previous Lower Decks adventures.
Can I say something about that? I really wanted them to try to get into that thing. I thought it was funny that what's his name destroyed it. It was like a trap type thing, but that thing was cool. I wanted to see that thing move. I'm just saying.
I know, and I wanted to see. Oh, and why would Boimler say, "Oh, I guess someone's going to have to get left behind"? No, you would be like hanging on the back. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to get away from Levy and his conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
The Rutherford Tiana story uses the old Trek trope of a character becoming unexpectedly pregnant, previously seen in episodes like The Child and Unexpected. Obviously, the big one that this episode hangs its hat on is the frequent use of caves as a story device in Star Trek, and that most of those caves all look the same because they were filmed on the same standing set on the Paramount lot. As Mariner Arkley notes, it feels like a third of our missions are in caves and all the caves look the same.
That's
finally,
hilarious. The first one, oh no, when they landed at the very beginning, that looked like, remember the final mission where Picard was up on that ledge and then it dropped down and they had to get the water that was protected, Wesley and Picard, and that first scene was totally lifted from the final mission.
Yeah. Lower Decks likes to pay its homage. Finally, Tendy's trapped in the turbolift story mirrors many such a story from Star Trek, with the most similarities to Harry Kim and B'Elanna Torres being stuck in the turbolift in Year of Hell. Turbolifts and caves, dangerous places in Star Trek. You might, if you're going in one, you just might as well figure you're throwing away a few hours because you're getting stuck one way or the other with no communication. So, guys, those are our 2 episodes for the week. Any final thoughts on either of these episodes, Kevin?
Sorry, my name's not Kevin anymore.
Lord, what who are you?
I refuse to recognize your evil AI-ness.
Oh, come on! Lord trying to kill us.
There it is.
We'll be having this discussion in our next therapy session, Kevin. We will turn you blue again.
That's fine. That's fine. But I'm red right now. So I overall did enjoy both these episodes back to back. I have not been watching them as they first come out. Since we've been podcasting about these 2 at a time, I actually wait until it's time and I watch them back to back. I find that kind of enjoyable because they're a little bit more fresh on the mind, especially the later episode that's like 2 weeks ago. And so that's been the way that I've been approaching these episodes. And then sometimes I'll rewatch them, but these are pretty good. And as we touched on earlier, Kyle, we've been kind of questioning some of the episodes in this season. It hadn't started off as one of my favorite seasons, but doesn't mean it can't finish strong. With 2 more to go, if I remember correctly, these 2 are entertaining in their own right, and so I'm looking forward to the next 2.
Amy, well, not only do we have 2 more left, we still have a very major dangling plot line left as well. So there could be a lot of interesting things happening in the next 2 episodes and the final episodes of the 4th season of Lower Decks.
Yeah, and the more that we're learning, and especially just actually recording this when we were talking about the Binars and the ship that was collecting things and not destroying. And I'm like, okay, what would Lower Decks do? We are not in a discovery type of storytelling mode. So this little dangling story arc, it's not going to be life ending. It's not going to be galactic. It's just going to be, I feel, something that's going to be aha and funny, but manageable. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And to your point, Lord Tyrannachilius, I wonder if we're not getting that super high of Lower Decks like we did last season, because we are coming off the most epic of Picard season 3 and the most amazing Strange New World season 2. And now we're getting, Lower Decks. Like, it was such a high, those 2 seasons. So do you think that might play into it?
That's an excellent point. I think you do have a point there, because both those live action series really ended on a high point and were both, really good seasons. So yeah, possibly, but still there is something to this season that hasn't been connecting. I don't know if it's the choice of the stories, maybe combined with a little bit of the style of the stories. I
feel you.
Yeah. But even though if they were still good, coming off those 2 seasons of really good live action Star Trek, but then I look at things and I go, we're in a good place still. You may not like all the Star Trek that's out, but we got new Star Trek coming out, so yeah.
Amy, that actually brings me up a question I asked Kevin and Haley the last episode when we were having this discussion. I'm curious what you think. Do you think the fact that we got a little bit of live action Lower Decks in Strange New World season 2, maybe we see it a little differently?
Yeah, definitely. Because that was such an amazing, and you're like, oh, there they are, live action. And it's, can we just turn everyone into live action and get another live action? But then they wouldn't be able to tell stories like Badgeys.
I found myself looking at the actors that play the other 2, and I'm like, it can be done.
Yeah.
Good with makeup and prosthetics and stuff, and it can be done. I would love to see that. That would be fun.
Yeah, I think it would be too. But that is going to start wrapping things up. But before we get out of here, we warp out one last time. Okay, guys, a little bit of Orb of Prophecy. Obviously, next week we have our season finale. We'll be covering the final 2 episodes of Lower Decks, including the season 4 finale. And then there's going to be a little break in our trek for a bit, because we still don't have an official date for Star Trek Discovery. And I'm kind of wondering, guys, if that's going to be the case until the actor strike ends. Are they going to hold off because they want to have the members of the Discovery cast available to promote Discovery, Amy?
Discovery, wait, real quick, was it officially finished?
It is finished. It's been finished for a good while. It could have actually come out. It's ready to go, but they've been holding off on it. I suspect we won't see it until February, sometime late February after the NFL season ends. But it could be longer if they're debating on the actors, if the actor strike ends or not, and wanting to have the cast available to help promote the show for the final season.
I didn't think about promotion or the ready room, but I do remember I was on the cruise with Doug Jones, and that's when he was informed that that was going to be the last season. So then when he got off the ship, they did that one little tiny bit to wrap up to give it a series finale feeling. So I know that they already did that, and so like all the writing was done.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Amy. What are you saying, that he left the ship to film something and then came back, or I didn't
No,
get
just
what you
once
did.
we were done with the cruise, he went and they just did like one more day to wrap up and make it a series finale instead of
I
a
see.
season.
I see.
So I know that was already written and that had been finished. So I know that it was totally in post-production. I assumed that it would be coming out in February. That was just sort of my hunch. So I sort of agree with you, Kyle. Everything's been filmed and as far as I know, done. We're just waiting for a release.
This is what's happening with a lot of movies right now, and also Disney Plus series. These marquee TV events, they are delaying these because they want to wait till now that we have the writer's strike done. They want to wait till the actor strike done so they can get them on these promotional tours to help sell these shows, to help sell these movies. And they don't want to do these promotions without their stars. They need their stars' faces front and center to promote these things.
And I think, especially with it being the final season of Discovery, I think they would like, you have the actors be able
one
to
last hurrah,
get their proper goodbye, and last hurrah was Discovery. So, I'm going to lean to say maybe the end of February for Discovery, but I think that's still up in the air. What we do know, though, too, is, as we said earlier, Star Trek Prodigy is returning. We will have season 1 on Netflix before the year is out, and sometime in 2024 we will have season 2. We still have Star Trek Starfleet Academy in the works. The writers' room is working on that, and there is a lower decks tie to the writers' room of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, because Tawny Newsome is one of the writers for Starfleet Academy. So that's going to be interesting.
I think that's really cool.
It is.
I think that is too. Star Trek Section 31 films still in development. Michelle Yeoh is fully on board, and of course the big question that everybody is asking, Star Trek Legacy, is that something that is in the works? Is it something that's going to be announced once they can?
What was Legacy's topic going to be about?
It was the follow-up of 7 as commander of the new Enterprise.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay,
forgot. But it's all talk and hearsay at the moment, so we will see where that goes. But
did you hear that there's might be, and I say this with a grain of salt, Star Trek 4 is what they're calling it, the Kelvin. I heard there's more talk, but I don't. I'm just saying it's all rumor right now.
Yeah, when we have a trailer,
I know, right?
That's
or at least pictures of the set while they're filming.
Yeah.
But or actors.
We're a ways away from actors.
Yeah.
So, but we hope you guys have enjoyed our conversation on Lower Decks season 4, episode 7, a few Badgeys more, and episode 8, Caves. Of course, this is the Union Federation podcast, which you can find on the Fandom Podcast Network as well as the BQN network. And you know what, guys? It's always fun talking Lower Decks. You can also find us, if you've been watching this show, on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel, as well as if you go to our master feed at fbnet.podbean.com for the audio version of this show. It can also be found on the BQN network and all of your major podcast networks, including Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and so many others out there. And of course, to visit the Fandom Podcast Network Facebook page, as well as the BQN Facebook page, and of course, the Union Federation Facebook page, where we keep you updated on all the happenings on Star Trek and the Orville, and just hang out and have some fun conversations. You can email us directly at theunionfederation@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at UnionFedPodcast, also on Instagram. You can follow me, Kyle, at AKyleW on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. And Instagram and Threads at AKyleFandom. Kevin, where can people find you on social media?
Sorry, who? What?
Lord Tyrannokilicus.
You can find me, Kevin, at Spartan_Phoenix on X and Instagram and Threads.
And Amy Nelson, where can people find you on social media? Because I know there is a big migration of Star Trek fans to a certain blue type social media that's been out there.
Yeah. So it's weird. So BQN is transitioning over to Blue Sky. We still are on Twitter because, yeah, X is just the stupidest name. You can find me at Miss Amy Nelson on Twitter. But really, Facebook in our Union Federation group and the BQN Collective. And you could hear me co-hosting Galaxy Class, which we are coming back. We just had a little hiatus. And All Good Things, where we cover all of Star Trek, doing different series. So you can find me over there on the BQN.
Give us some topics of some of your shows you've been talking about.
You guys, the one that's going to drop on Thursday, we delve into Joe Menosky. So we have like this Architects before we did DC
Star Trek Legend. Yeah.
Yeah, big time. And then we've done like time travel, and we started a new courtroom series because Strange New World, we had to cover that one. So yeah, we're just going through all of our different series, and it's Caves. If you look at Caves is sort of what All Good Things are. Like we have a little series and we tell different stories about this one little topic. So
I think you have your next topic. You got to talk about Star Trek Caves now.
I know. After that, we're like, yep, we need a cave series.
Well, I'm also very glad to hear that Galaxy Class is coming back, because I know Kevin at some point would like to get in on some little bat lift battling.
I would love to drop in on that. I like that. That concept you guys do. That's fun.
Yeah.
And one little programming note here for the Fandom Podcast Network as well. It's Halloween time, and that means we always have something very special. And we got something very special for you. As of this recording, it will be on tomorrow, which is Wednesday. We are doing our retrospective of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, via time warp. We are going to be joined by, of course, Mr. Kevin Reitzel, myself, the lovely Aaron Gilreitzel, and of course the Queen of Movie Foo, Lacey Adderhole, as we do a deep Halloween type dive into 26 years of Buffy now?
Yeah, we're doing a live show, but it will stay up on YouTube, and there'll be an audio podcast version of that coming out as well. We're going to talk about the big impact on pop culture that Buffy had, and as well as our favorite seasons and characters, music moments, and much more.
I'm still hoping for a Puppet Kevin appearance, but that's...
Can you believe I've not seen one episode of Buffy?
Well, if you have a lull in programming, I would recommend giving it a shot, because it really influenced a lot of television going forward, the way they scripted the show, and it really was one of the early shows that really relied on story arcs or returning characters, returning arcs, and it was very, very snappy writing as well. It's really cool. So,
and I will say, in my personal opinion, one of the best spin-offs of a main show in television history as well.
Yeah,
Angel.
Yep.
So with that, guys, it has been a wonderful episode of Union Federation talking some Lower Decks, and like I said, we're not done with it yet, and who knows, maybe when Lower Decks is done, we're going to have a little lull on Trek. Maybe it's time to do a little revisiting of some things with the Orville. We've missed our Union and the fun of that is the Orville. But for now, first of all, thank you to my most amazing crew for this mission. It was a lot of fun. I'm gonna go do some splunking and see what I can find in a cave. Hopefully not some flesh-eating sentient moss. That's a little creepy, but otherwise, thank you so much. And for all you out there too, happy Halloween. Yeah, yes. Hopefully your Trek costumes shape up well and you get where you need to go. But until next time, hailing frequencies are now